Good afternoon, church. It's great to be able to connect with you again. We had a couple weeks off as we were having a special Christmas Eve service and Christmas service, and then also a special New Year service together with the Spanish church. But now we're back to our midweek Bible studies, and we're continuing and starting off 2021. 2021. We're starting out once again with going through those key passages in the Bible. And right now, continuing with the life of David. David, part 2. Last year, we saw David rising to fame as he kills Goliath and becoming part of the palace of Saul. But then we saw quickly the jealousy and Saul realizing because of what he had done and he had disobeyed the Lord that he was going to lose the kingdom, and then rightly so, figuring that David was the one who's going to take his place. So Saul persecuting David. And this week we're going to see David running away, kind of going, as we see, into the wilderness, and we'll see his fugitive years as we look at his life. It's almost like if you've ever watched the movie The Fugitive, is the man running from justice in a sense, but here it's not really justice, but running from the law, and they're always one step behind him, and just he needs to keep running and running and running and not stopping. He's never safe because he never knows where or when they're going to come after him. And that's kind of the feeling of this next section. David is always on the run, worried about being betrayed, worried about being caught, and looking for safety, looking for security. And we'll see that in that sometimes he'll seek the Lord, and sometimes he'll seek, the Philistines, or going out to a different place. So we'll see how the Lord begins to work in his heart and show him how he can trust in him, and also how he can rest in him. So let's look at that as we, many times have gone through difficult times. I mean, we've gone through a difficult year last year. We can see how we need to trust in the Lord and not in people, not in things, not in things that are temporal, but know that the Lord is one he can trust. So let's begin 1 Samuel chapter 20. This is kind of where all starts. David is, do I go? Do I not go? Is Saul want to kill me or not? So we see David is fleeing, goes to Jonathan, and basically the question in verse 1 is, what have I done? What is my iniquity? What is the sin before your father that he seeks your life and seeks my life? Why does he want to kill me? What have I done? I haven't done anything. And he really hadn't. He really actually helped Saul and win victories, but Saul saw him as a threat to his power and a threat to his sons continuing as kings. So Jonathan says, no, means you won't die. I know my father's not going to do anything without telling me first. Don't worry. I'm going to find out, why should he hide this thing from me? So, well, no, your father knows that we're friends. Basically verse 3, he says, your father knows we've found favor in your eyes. He says, do not let Jonathan know this, lest he be grieved. So he knows we're friends. He's not going to tell you. Well, you know what? Jonathan says, I'm going to find out. Tomorrow's a new moon, I'm going to sit with him. And if you're not there, Saul's going to ask why. And then I will find out what is going on. So how am I going to know if he answers roughly, or is it verse 10, or if he wants to kill me or not? Well, I said, we're going to set this up. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to shoot some arrows. And if I shoot him here, that means you're safe. If I shoot him there, it means you need to go away. And so they set up this whole system to get the message back to David. So David kind of waits. David just waits in hiding and hides in the field. And so Jonathan goes with him, and the feast begins. Saul doesn't say anything the first day, doesn't say anything the next day, just thinking maybe he's not there yet. But finally, on the second day of the month, when David's place was empty, he says, where is the son of Jesse today? Where is he? And Jonathan quickly answers, well, he has permission to go to Bethlehem to see my family. And Saul gets angry. And this is what he tells his son. He says, "You son of a perverse, rebellious woman, do I not know that you have chosen the son of Jesse to your own shame and the shame of your mother's nakedness? For as long as the son of Jesse lives on the earth, you shall not be established, nor your kingdom. Now therefore send and bring him to me, for he shall surely die." So we see here Saul's intention is very clear. This boy, this David must die. He's going to take the kingdom away from you. And we cannot allow this to happen. And Jonathan goes, "Well, why should he be killed? What has he done?" And Saul, he's very much into this spear thing. Just, whenever you saw Saul sitting, just make sure the spears aren't next to him, because he grabs them and will lob them at people. When he gets mad, he throws a spear at Jonathan in his fierce anger. And Jonathan escapes too. And the good thing is he wasn't a very good shot. He missed David twice, and now Jonathan. But Jonathan knows, no, he's gonna kill him. He wants to kill him. There's no way David is safe. He's got to run. He's got to go get away. So he shoots the arrows, or the arrows beyond you. That's the signal. Hey, your life is in danger. He sends this young boy to go get the arrows for him, and once Jonathan and David, he says, you got to go. And 42 says, Jonathan tells David, "Go in peace, since we have both sworn in the name of the Lord, saying, may the Lord be between you and me, and between your descendants and my descendants forever." So he arose and departed, and Jonathan went into the city. So David flees. He begins this running away. And we'll see when he does, David doesn't run away kind of prepared. This is not something he prepared to do. This is something that all of a sudden, what do? I got to run. I got to go. And there's, where do I go? And he's kind of looking around where to go. And we'll see in chapter 21, he has a few people with him. He has maybe some servants, some friends that are with him. He has a small group of people. And so David runs, and he runs to Nob, and there Nob, Ahimelech, the priest, is there. And he saw David. It's like, whoa, why are you alone? Why is no one with you? What happened? What did you do? Oh, yeah, here begins the story, Oh, yeah. The king ordered me on some business, said to me, "Do not let anyone know about the business on which I sent you, or what I commanded you. And I've directed my young men to go such and such a place. Now, therefore, do you have anything on hand? Any food? We kind of left in a hurry. No food. Can you give me 5 loaves of bread, or whatever can be found? Whatever's good. I got these my young men, my servants." Well, there really is no common bread. We don't have any just bread. We have the holy bread, the one that was go in the tabernacle before the Lord. And then after it was before the Lord, they took it out, and that was the bread that the priests would eat. But if your young men have kept themselves from women, well, then we can give them some bread. And David answered, yeah, we've about 3 days, we haven't seen a woman. So since I came out, so the vessels of these young men are holy. So, so the priest gives them this bread. So, okay, now they have bread. And then something strange happens, because there's always eyewitnesses to what has happened. Okay, David's there. This is kind of strange. Ahimelech noticed it was strange for David to be there. But there was another guy there who also was linked to Saul, and his name was Doeg. He was an Edomite, the chief herdsman to Saul. And we see he was there too. And he was kind of looking and seeing what was going on. And as David is leaving, he said, "Oh, you know what? I forgot something else. I even forgot my weapons. I forgot my sword. You wouldn't happen to have a spear, a sword, something?" I had to leave in haste for the king's business. Well, he goes, "Well, we had the sword of Goliath, you kind of left it here after, you cut off his head. It's wrapped behind the ephod. If you want to take it, take it. There's nothing else here." And David go, "Oh, that's a good sword. I've used it before. Yeah. There's none like it. Let me give it to me." So David grabs the sword. So now he has a sword, and now he has some food. And he runs away. Well, where do I go? Where I'm going to go from my friends? Well, I think I'll go, if their friends are trying to kill me, or that my people are trying to kill me, I'll go to my enemies. Maybe they'll take me in. So he flees to the Philistines. Like, Philistines, why to them? Well, we'll see right away he gets in trouble for doing that. He flees before and goes to Achish, the king of Gath, the Philistines. And as he's there, they see him as what is this guy doing here? Isn't this the guy who killed, all our men? This is not David and the king of the land. Did he not sing to one another saying, Saul has slain his thousands and David his 10,000s? Isn't this the guy who killed 10,000s of us? He took these words to heart. He was very, very afraid. What do I do now? I'm in the midst of my enemies. So David, in a sense of, trying to figure out what to do, changed his behavior. Verse 13, pretended madness. He scratched on the doors of the gate, let saliva fall down his beard, and look, this man's gone crazy. Why have you brought him to me? I don't want anything to do with him. I don't need a madman in my court. Send him out of the house. So the Lord, saved David. Doesn't let Achish want to just kill him. He send him out, and gets rid of him. So David is saved from, in a sense, the Philistines at that time, when they said, this guy is the one who killed us. This guy is the one who's our enemy. And David, actually, we know David, and is famous not only for being a king, but he's also famous for his poetry, his psalms. And David writes a psalm on this occasion, is Psalm 34. And this is what it says: I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall be continually in my mouth. My soul shall make its boast in the Lord. The humble shall hear of it and be glad. Oh, magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name forever. I sought the Lord, and he heard me. He delivered me from all my fears. Remember, he was afraid of the Philistines. They looked to him and were radiant. Their faces were not ashamed. The poor man cried out. The Lord heard him and saved him from all his troubles. The angel of the Lord encamps all around those who fear him and delivers them. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man who trusts in him. Oh, fear the Lord, your saints. There is no want in those who fear him. The young lions lack and suffer hunger, but those who seek the Lord shall not lack any good thing. Come, you children, listen to me. I will teach you the fear of the Lord. Who is a man who desires life and loves many days that he may see good? Keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking deceit. Depart from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. The eyes of the Lord are on the righteous. His eyes are open to their cry. The face of the Lord is against those who do evil, to cut off the remembrance of them in the earth. The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears and delivers them out of their troubles. The Lord is near to those who have a broken heart and saves such as have a contrite spirit. Beautiful verse. The Lord is near to those who have a broken heart. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of all of them. He guards all his bones, and not one of them is broken. Evil shall slay the wicked, and those who hate the righteous shall be condemned. The Lord redeemed the soul of his servants, and none of those who trust in him shall be condemned. You see, David was kind of running away from Saul. No food, no weapons, no place to go. So he gets some food, he gets some weapons, he goes to the wrong place, gets caught by the Philistines, and he's about, he could be put to death, but there the Lord saves him. And now he is kind of, I've been running, and the one I need to trust in, the one I need to follow, the one I need to put my confidence is the Lord. The Lord is the one who will save me. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man who trusts in him. Taste and see. He is the one who is going to deliver me from the evil men. So he departs, and he finds a cave in the wilderness in Adullam. This is chapter 22 of 1 Samuel. He departed from there, and he found a refuge, a place of hiding in the wilderness. And there, when people heard that he was there, the brothers and sisters of his father's house, they went down there with him. So he had some men join him. And everyone else who was in distress, verse 2, who was in debt, everyone who was discontented gathered to him. So he became a captain. And there were about 400 men with him. So he built up, in a sense, his own little personal army. 400 men of all those who was his family, those who were discontent, those who hadn't paid their taxes, all these people who were seeking to run away, in a sense, from things that were happening and situations that were happening. They came around David and they became his small band of men, of a little army. And you see, the Lord brought him not only to a safe place in the wilderness, but also brought him others to be there with him and to give him an extra protection. So he was there. I'm running. My life is in danger, but now I see the Lord's hand. He's brought me to a place of safety. He's brought people around me. He's brought these men that are going to support me. And now I can see, what's the Lord going to do? What's he going to teach me during this time in the wilderness? I think many of us, especially in this last year, going through all these difficult times, feeling like we're in the wilderness, feeling like we don't know where to go. We're not prepared for this. We don't know where to go, what to do, or who to trust. And we feel that there's all these things happening. In that time, we can trust in the Lord, because he will set our path straight. He will bring, even though we don't understand where we're going yet, because David has no idea what's going to happen, there's still many things that are going to happen to him, but he begins to see the hand of the Lord in his life. He begins to see how the Lord is leading him and guiding him and bringing that help to him in the time of need. So David begins his wilderness experience, his wilderness time. So David goes there from Mizpah to Moab. He says to the king of Moab, can you protect my father and mother? He gets, I can't protect them. Can you protect them for me? And the king of Moab protects him, and he dwells with him while David was in the stronghold in the wilderness. And Prophet Gad said to David, don't stay in the stronghold, go to the land of Judah. You need to go to Judah. The Lord doesn't need you in enough foreign land. He needs you in the land of Judah, because that's where you're going to, even in difficulty, you're going to thrive, and the Lord's going to do and show you his hand. Psalm 18 talks about this seeking the Lord and seeking this place of refuge. And this is a song that he wrote while he was running from Saul. And we just look at the first two verses. It says, I love you, Lord, O Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer, my God, my strength, in whom I will trust, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold. And you see, that's what God wanted David to learn. It's not about where you are. I am your stronghold. I am your strength. You need to trust in me. I'm your shield, your horn of salvation, your stronghold. No matter where you go, you will always be chased. People will be after you. But with you trust in me, and when you follow me, you will have a stronghold. You will have salvation. You will have strength. So now we begin to see what happens next. There's some consequences from David's actions. Saul is looking for David. Okay, now we kind of go back to the Saul. We were at David's running, David's all this up, and now we go back to the next scene, cut scene into Saul. Saul is saying, where's David? Doesn't anybody know where David is? And he has a spear in hand. Saul dangerous when he has a spear in hand. His servants are standing around, kind of keeping an eye on that spear, making sure they're not the object of the next spear throw, because, he's already missed 3, and he might not miss the next one. So where is he? And actually he's there in Ramah near Benjamin, the land of the Benjamites, where David was. David was from, actually. Will the son of Jesse give every one of you fields and vineyards and make you captains of thousands and captains of hundreds? Give David up. I was told he was here. All of you have conspired against me. There is not one who reveals to me that my son has made a covenant with the son of Jesse, and there's not one of you who is sorry for me or reveals to me that my son has stirred up my servants against me to lie in wait as it is day. So we see now Saul is becoming a little paranoid. There is some truth. Jonathan did have a pact with David, but he's not, stirring up, and not everybody's against me. He's like everybody's against me. Everybody wants to take my throne away from me. He is having this whole paranoia going a little too far. And here we see Doeg. Remember Doeg? That was the guy who saw David over with Ahimelech. Doeg the Edomite says, was there and said, oh, I saw the son of Jesse. He went to Nob, to Ahimelech, the son of Ahitub, the high priest. And he inquired of the Lord for him and gave him provisions. And he also gave him the sword of Goliath, the Philistine, tattletale. Well, here he is. He tells tales. So, Ahimelech helped him out. And the king calls Ahimelech the priest and the son of Ahitub, all his father's house, the priests who were in Nob. So he brings Ahimelech and all the priests, and they came to see him. And Saul says, how is the son of Ahitub? Oh, I'm here, my lord. He has no clue what's wrong. He says, why have you conspired against me, you and the son of Jesse, and that you've given him bread and a sword and inquired of God for him, that he should rise against me to lie in wait as is this day? And Ahimelech going, well, what? And among all your servants, who is more faithful than David? David betray you? There's no way. Who is the king's son-in-law? Who goes at your bidding and is honorable in your house? Did I then begin to inquire of a God for him? Of course, David was part of your house. He came to me and inquired for him. Far be it from me, let not the king impute anything to his servant or any of the house of my father, for your servant knew nothing of this, little or much. We had no idea. David came and he was part of your household. But Saul is not listening. Saul is in a killer mood. He has a spear in his hand. He wants someone to die. So he says, you will die, all your father's house, because you helped David, even though, of course, he didn't know he was helping David, or he didn't know that it was bad to help David, because David, for years, a little bit ago, had been one of Saul's court. So he tells the guards, kill the priests, because their hand is with David. They knew when he fled and did not tell me. But the servants wouldn't do it. It's like, how can we kill these are the priests of the Lord. These are the Lord's priests. These are not just common men. How can we do that? And they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. So we see that they were still, they were not going crazy like Saul was. But Saul had someone else. And there he had Doeg. Doeg was an Edomite. He wasn't a Jew. He didn't care of these priests. He didn't care about the Lord. Did you kill the priests? So Doeg got a sword and killed on that day 85 men with the edge of the sword, men and women, children, nursing infants, oxen, donkeys, and sheep on the edge of the sword. So he kills all the priests. You may imagine that the ones who were before the Lord. Saul is in his craziness, in a sense, is in his paranoia, is going against not only David, now he's going against the Lord's priests, the priests of the Lord, and having them killed. So one flees. Abiathar, son of Ahimelech, escapes and flees to David. He told David what he'd done. And David said, I'm sorry. I knew when he was there, he would surely tell Saul. And of course, he didn't realize, I don't think David realized that's what Saul would do, but it's my fault. He seeks my life. And now your life is in danger. So stay with me and you will be safe. So David said, the only thing I can do is protect you. And he's thinking, how could he do this? How could Doeg do this? David writes a psalm when he hears about this. This is Psalm 52. Why do you boast in evil, O mighty men? The goodness of God endures continually. Your tongue devises destruction. This is to Doeg. Like a sharp razor working deceitfully. You love evil more than good, lying rather than speaking righteousness. And then we see Selah, this pause. David pauses in his anger. You love all devouring words, you deceitful tongue. God shall likewise destroy you forever. He shall take you away and pluck you out of your dwelling place and uproot you from the land of the living. Basically, the Lord's going to punish you for what you did. The righteous shall also see and fear and shall laugh at him, saying, here is a man who did not make God his strength, but trusted in the abundance of his riches and strengthened himself in his wickedness. But I am like a green olive tree in the house of God. I trust in the mercy of God forever and ever. I will praise you forever because you have done it. In the presence of your saints, I will wait on your name, for it is good. Doeg, the Lord's going to destroy you. People will see that and see how You trusted in riches rather than trusting in the Lord, and you will have consequences. But David says, I'm going to trust in the Lord. In the midst of the time, when I'm in the wilderness, I'm going to trust in the Lord. So what do I do now? So David is there in his stronghold, and he gets news. Chapter 23. The Philistines are fighting against Keilah, city of Keilah, and they're robbing a threshing floors. And David says, you know, what David used to do for Saul when that happened, when the Philistines attacked, David would go and fight them. So David is used to, when the Philistines come, I'm supposed to go fight them. And so he says to the Lord, what should I do? Go attack the Philistines in Keilah? And the Lord said, yes, go attack the Philistines in Keilah. And so he said, okay, let's go. He took his man. He's like, what? We're afraid here in Judah. We're outlaws now. How much more are we going to be if we go to Keilah against the armies of the Philistines? We're just 400 men. What are you thinking? So David says, oh, let me check with the Lord again. The Lord answered him and says, arise and go to Keilah. Okay. The Lord said, go to Keilah. I will deliver the Philistines in your hands. So they went to Keilah and fought with the Philistines and struck them a mighty blow. And they won and took away their livestock. And David saved them, saved the city. Now, when Abiathar, the son of Ahimelech, had fled to David at Keilah, he went with the ephod in hand. So basically, he had the ephod, which was basically a way to inquire the Lord, should I do this? And it was kind of the Lord, through the ephod, would show them like a yes, no answer. So as he was there, David inquired of the Lord, because Saul also heard, hey, David's in Keilah. God has delivered him into my hands. He said, okay, he's in Judah. He's in the city that I control. I'm going to go get him. So he got his people together for war and went down to Keilah to besiege David. So David said, if I'm here very long, Saul's going to come after me. And no, he's going to come here. So he told Abiathar, bring the ephod here. And so he said, the Lord God of Israel, your servant has certainly heard that Saul seeks to come to Keilah and destroy the city for my sake. And the question is this, will the Lord deliver me into his hand? Will Saul come down as your servant has heard? And the Lord says, he will come. Okay. Now, if he comes, will the men of Keilah deliver me and my men into the hand of Saul? And I said, yes, they will. You just saved them, but Saul is their king. And if he comes and he says, deliver him, they will deliver him. So David escapes without 600 men. So now it wasn't 400 men, now it's 600 men arose and departed from Keilah and went wherever they could go. And it was told to Saul that David had escaped from Keilah, so he halted his expedition. And so David runs away once again into the wilderness. What do I do? So David went to the wilderness of Sif in the mountains. Saul, says verse 14, Saul sought him every day, but God did not deliver him into his hand. So Saul would look for him. He wouldn't find it. Why? Because God was against him. And David saw that Saul had come out to seek his life. And David was in that wilderness. And Jonathan, who sought David, could find him because God would allow that. And said, don't fear, verse 17, for the hand of Saul, my father, shall not find you. You shall be king over Israel, and I shall be next to you. Even my father Saul knows that. So the two of them made a covenant before the Lord, and David stayed in the woods, and Jonathan went to his own house. And so here we see, okay, David's hiding, but then there's people around who want to seek favor with Saul. So we had the Ziphites. They come to Saul at Gibeah and say, you know, David's in the woods. We know he's there. He's in the wilderness, in the hill of Hashilah, which is in the south of Jeshimon. So we know exactly where David is. That's where he is. Now, you know, why didn't you go and just have your heart's desire come down, and we shall deliver him into your hands? Like, so David is betrayed by people who knew where he was. And Saul says, you know, blessed is the Lord, you had compassion on me. So he goes out, let's go find and make sure this man is a crafty man. I don't want to seek for him in the land of Judah. Go and find out. So they went to Ziph before Saul, and David and his men were in the wilderness of Maon, verse 24, in the plain south of Jeshimon. And Saul and his men went to seek him. They told David, they went to the rock and stayed in the wilderness. And Saul pursued David into the wilderness of Maon. Saul was on one side of the mountain, David on his other, and the men on the other side of the mountain. So they're running on, two sides of the mountain, and they're running to haste to get away. And just as, you can see this, he's on one side of this mountain, he's on one, they're kind of running in this direction. They're getting closer and closer and closer. He's going to catch him. He's going to catch him. He's going to catch him. And all of a sudden Saul gets a message. The Philistines have invaded the land. And Saul goes, okay, I got to go do what a king does. I got to do my duty. So, and Saul turns around and leaves. Just as he's about to catch David, Saul has to turn around and leave because he gets a message. The Philistines invaded the land. So Saul leaves and goes against the Philistines. And David calls that the rock of escape. He is this close to catching me. And finally, David flees further south into the strongholds of En-Gedi. That's also there by the Dead Sea. So David running, the fugitive into the wilderness. He writes Psalm 142 during this time also, as he's in a cave hiding from Saul. Psalm 142 says, I will cry out to the Lord with my voice to the Lord I will make supplication. I will pour out my complaint before him. I will declare before him my trouble. Lord, how much longer am I had to run? When my spirit was overwhelmed within me, then you knew my path and the way in which I walk. They have secretly set a snare for me with the men of Ziph, trying to turn him in. Look on my right hand and see, for there is no one who acknowledges me. Refuge has failed me. No one cares for my soul. I cried out to you, O Lord, and said, you are my refuge, my portion in the land of the living. Attend to my cry, for I am brought very low. Deliver me from my persecutors, for they are stronger than I. Bring my soul out of prison, that I may praise your name. The righteous shall surround me, and you shall deal bountifully with me. David, he's human being. All this running wears down on you. And David's saying, how much longer, Lord? I said, you're my refuge, but, I have no one that's helping me out. I'm here in a cave. They're setting snares. People are betraying me right and left. He was this close to catching me, and Lord, how much longer is this going to happen? Well, the Lord actually gives him an opportunity to end it all. But ended all in a wrong way. Saul, once again, after he finishes fighting the Philistines, hears that David is in En-Gedi now. So he takes 3,000 men, 600, 3,000, a lot more. And David is hiding in a cave. And Saul's looking for him. And Saul says, I need to go to the bathroom, pit stop, and he goes to relieve himself in a cave. He doesn't know that the cave is full of 600 warriors of David. So Saul is in there relieving himself in a cave, and David and his men saw him as they're in the recesses of that cave, saying, this is the day the Lord has said to you, behold, I will deliver your enemy in my hands. You may do as it seems good to you. And, there he is relieving himself, take him out. He's all alone. He doesn't know we're here. And David secretly arose and cut a corner of his robe. So how did he do that? I don't know. But somehow he cut a corner of Saul's robe, and then he felt bad about it. How could I do that? He's the Lord's anointed. The Lord forbid that I should do the same to my master. David was still loyal. David still had no idea, what had he done? He had no intention for the throne. He said, I just want to be loyal to the Lord's anointed. And he says, how can I do this to my master, the Lord's anointed, to stretch out my hand against him, seeing that he is anointed of the Lord? I can't do this to him. The Lord has put him there. The Lord needs to take him away. I can't do this. So David restrained his servants and did not allow them to go and arise against Saul. And he finished his needs. He went on his way. And afterward, as Saul is leaving, going on his way, David goes out of the cave and, calls out to Saul, hey, Saul. Saul turns around. My lord, the king. And he stopped his face in the earth and bowed down. David said to Saul, why do you listen to the words of your men? And Hadad said, David seeks you harm. On this day, your eyes have seen the Lord has delivered you into my hand in the cave, and someone urged me to kill you. But my eyes spared you, and I said, I will not stretch out my hand against the Lord, for he is the Lord's anointed. Moreover, my father, see, I cut the corner of your robe. I was this close to you. and I did not kill you. Yet you hunt my life to take it. Let the Lord judge between you and me, and let the Lord avenge me on you. But my hand shall not be against you. As the proverb of the ancient says, wickedness proceeds from the wicked, but my hand shall not be against you. He repeats it. After whom has the king of Israel come out? Who do you pursue? A dead dog, a flea? Therefore, let the Lord be judge and judge between me and you, and see and plead my case and deliver me out of your hand. So when he hears this, when he says this, Saul kind of comes a little bit out of his craziness and insanity. He has a moment of being lucid and says, is that your voice, my son of David? Maybe it's David's voice. You know, when David would sing to him, he'd kind of, his spirit would calm down and he'd become lucid. Well, maybe it was David's voice. Is that your voice? And David said, you are more righteous than I, and he told David, you're more righteous than I, for you have rewarded me with good, and whereas I have rewarded you with evil. And the Lord has shown this day how you dwelt well with me, for the Lord delivered me into your hands, and you did not kill me. For if a man finds his enemy, will he let him get away safely? Saul says, no, I even kill people who are not my enemies, you know. Therefore, may the Lord reward you with good for what you have done this day. Saul realized he could have killed me. I should have been dead. So he leaves, you know, and Saul says, you know, indeed, you surely shall be king. The kingdom of Israel shall be established in your hands. Saul knew it. Saul knew that David was going to be king, but he did everything he could to stop it. Therefore, swear to me now that by the Lord, you will not cut off my descendants. He tries, well, swear, at least you won't kill my descendants, that you will not destroy the name of my father's house. Because what happens usually when one king takes over another, a different family, they killed everybody from the last king's family just to make sure that there was nobody that could rise up against them. So David swore that to Saul, and Saul goes home. During this time, we see chapter 25, Samuel dies. David has this interesting little, gets married, but we see this interesting little situation with the wife of Nabal. Nabal was this very rich man who had fields, and David would protect his men as they were out in the field from bandits and from robbers. And when they had the harvest, and this happened, this is chapter 25, verse 5, he sent 10 young men and said, go up to Nabal and greet him in my name, and then you shall say to the man who's having prosperity, peace be to you. You've heard your shears. We protected your shears. Nothing has been missing. Let me find some favor. Can we come to a feast day? You're having a feast. Can we come to the feast? We protected your men. You're having a feast for the harvest. And Nabal answered, David, who is David, the son of Jesse? There are many servants nowadays who break away from their master. This is just a runaway. He's just an outlaw. I'm going to give my bread to strangers. He rejects him. Young men go back, tell David, and David says, okay, that man has no idea. So, okay, put on your swords. We're going to go. But Abigail, I like Abigail. Nabal's wife says, David came with messengers to your husband, and he told him this, and your husband answered this way. And Abigail goes, oh man, that guy's a doofus. He's dumb. These men kept us safe day and night. They would protect us. Nothing happened to us. And Abigail says, I need to save my husband. So go with me and do what I tell you to do. Find 200 loaves of bread, 2 skins of wine, 5 sheep, prepared to eat, 5 things of roasted grain, raisins, figs, and put them on donkeys. And I'm going to follow you. And she didn't tell her husband she was doing this. So she rides her donkey in the cover to where David's men are coming down to kill Nabal. And she says, David, forgive us. You've done us good. Here, this is for you. May God do so and more to the enemies of David. And she asks for forgiveness. Lord, let this iniquity be on me. What my husband said, forgive the scoundrel Nabal. He said, forgive the scoundrel Nabal, for as his name is, so he is. Nabal is his name, scoundrel, his folly. But I did not see your young men when they were sent. Please don't shed any blood. Don't avenge yourself on us. Forgive our trespasses. And David says, okay. Blessed be the Lord, verse 32, God of Israel, who sent you this day to meet him. And blessed is your advice, and blessed are you, because you have kept me from coming to bloodshed and for avenging myself with my own hand. For, the Lord God of Israel, who's kept me back from hurting you, unless you had hurried and come to meet me, surely by morning no males would have been left to Nabal. Go in peace. I've heeded your voice. So she goes back, and she goes, and Nabal's there having a feast. He's kind of happy, and he's very merry. It says verse 36 with him. And when the morning, when he was, having his hangover, I guess, his wife told him, you know what, Nabal, this is what happened to you that close. And it says he became like stone. He had an attack. 10 days later, the Lord struck Nabal and he died. He said, well, David's not going to kill him, but I will. So Nabal dies. And the Lord said, thank you, Lord, for taking that reproach away and returning Nabal's wickedness on his own head. And that Abigail, she was kind of cute, strong woman, very, knew what to do. So maybe I should marry her. So that's what he does. He sends men. David sent us. He wants to ask you to be his wife. And she says, okay, let me get ready. So Abigail rose in haste, attended with 5 maids. She followed the messengers and became his wife. She went out to the wilderness with David. But we see David wasn't his only wife. He had also Ahinoam, Jezreel, and Michal, his daughter of Saul, and was also his wife. So right now he had 2 wives, is custom back then. It's not a good thing, but custom back then. So David continues being in the wilderness, and we see Saul, forgives David, but then the mood gets him again. He wants to kill David again. So once again, the Ziphites, somebody else comes and betrays David. Hey, David's in the hill of Hachilah. This is 1 Samuel 26, opposite Jeshimon. And so Saul gets, 3,000 men again, goes to the wilderness of Ziph and camps there. And David saw that he was out there, that he had come to see him and come to get him. It's like, didn't we already fix this? Didn't I already show him I could have killed him? You know what? Let's do this again. Let's go back and show Saul that I have nothing against him. Who's going to go with me? So Abishai says, I will go with you. So David and Abishai came to the people at night. They snuck in, they're warriors. And they found Saul sleeping with the spear stuck, a famous spear that, tries to kill people all the time. So David grabs a spear and then he leaves. Abishai says, you know what? Just kill him. You're here, just kill him. Let me strike him. I'll kill him. You don't want to kill him? I'll kill him. And David says, don't destroy him. We can't stretch our hands out to the Lord's anointed. We can't be guiltless. So let's go out. So David took the spear and the jug of water, which were by his head. No man saw it. He snuck away. The Lord protected him, maybe give him all a deep sleep. And he goes out to this hill with a gap between him and says, hey, Abner. Now it's not Saul, Abner. And Saul says, is that David? And David, is my voice, O king. Why do you pursue your servant? Once again, why you pursue? I haven't done anything to you. Let me hear my words. Hear what I'm going to say. If the Lord has stirred against you, accept an offering. But if it's the children of men who have stirred you up against me, stop listening to them. And he shows him the spear. He shows him, that what he's done. He shows him, I've been, could have killed you again. And Saul once again says, I've sinned. Return my son David, for I will harm you no more. Because my life was precious in your eyes this day. Indeed, I have played the fool and erred exceedingly. Once again, little moment of clarity. I've played the fool. And here's the king's spear. Let one of the young men come get it. I don't like this spear. It's already tried to kill me twice. May the Lord repay every man for his righteousness and his faithfulness. And so once again, David goes on his way and Saul goes on his way. And once again, we have a psalm from this, Psalm 57. Be merciful to me, O God, be merciful to me, for my soul trusts in you, and in the shadow of your wings I will make my refuge. Until these calamities have passed by, I will cry out to the God, the Most High, to God who performs all things for me. He shall send for heaven and save me. He reproaches the one who would swallow me up. Saul. God shall send forth his mercy and his truth. My soul is among lions. I will lie among the sons of men who are set on fire, whose teeth are spears and arrows, their tongues are a sharp sword. Be exalted, O God, above the heavens. Let your glory be above all the earth. They have prepared a net for me for my steps. My soul is bowed down. They have dug a pit for me. In the midst of it, themselves have fallen. They dug a pit for me, but they fell in the pit. My heart is steadfast, O God, my heart is steadfast. I will sing and give praise. Awake, my glory, awake, lute and harp. I will awaken the dawn. I will praise you, O Lord, among the peoples. I will sing among the nations. For your mercy reaches up to the heavens, and your truth unto the clouds. Be exalted, O God, above the heavens. Let your glory be above all the earth. Here we see David, and we're kind of going to wind down with this. 1 Samuel 27. David is trusting in the Lord, but David says, is this ever going to, I mean, he came for me once and he said he wouldn't. And now he came for me twice and he said he wouldn't. And what's going to stop him from coming again? And here David says, maybe what I should do is just leave Judah. He was told to go back to Judah. Maybe I should just leave Judah. And that if I do that, I'll be safe. You see, the Lord said, trust me, go into the wilderness. I will be your stronghold. And David doubts, just like each one of us can doubt. And so David has his own plan now. Chapter 27, verse 1, David says in his heart, now I shall perish someday at the hand of Saul. I can't keep this up forever. There's nothing better for me that I should speedily escape to the land of the Philistines, and Saul will despair of me and seek me anymore in Israel. If I leave the land and go to the Philistines, he won't be able to seek me. So I shall escape out of his hand. And David arose and went over with 600 men to Achish, the son of Maoch, king of Gath. Wait a minute, isn't that one he wanted to kill him? Well, probably enough time had passed and people knew that David was a fugitive from Saul. So as Achish sees him again, now not fresh, from the running away, but after time has passed, he says, this could be something good for me. So he takes him in. So now he's not crazy. He's not going to act like a crazy man. And he takes him in. Saul hears that he went to the Philistines and says, seeks him no more. So David said to Achish, and this is actually worse for Saul because Saul now the Philistines could bring David against him. And that's what they will try to do. He tells Achish in verse 5, if I found favor in your eyes, let me give us a place in a town or a country. I may dwell there and be your servant. I'll serve you. So Achish gave him Ziklag that day. In that way, Ziklag has belonged to the kings of Judah. So he dwelt there for 1 year and 4 months. So what did David do as he's serving the Philistines? Well, what he would do is he would go and raid. He would go fight. That's what he does. He's a fighter. He's a warrior. He would go raid the Geshurites, the Gizurites, and the Amalekites. Those are enemies of Israel. And they're the ones that inhabited the land of old. And when David attacked them, he left neither man or woman, and basically he killed everybody. So there will be no witnesses. And when he returned with all the booty and all the goods, he said, where did you raid today? And David said, oh, I went to Judah. Oh yeah, I went to the Jeremites. I went to the Kenites, lands of Judah. And David, since he wouldn't keep anybody there alive, there was no one to tell him the difference. And this is what happened. Achish, verse 12, believed David, saying, he has made Israel utterly abhor him. Therefore, he will be my servant forever. The Israelites hate him now because he's attacking them. So now he will be my servant. He's mine. He's mine. And you see, that's David's arrow. And actually, it's going to get him into trouble when they actually do call him to go fight up against the Israelites. But for now, Achish thinks he's got him. He's mine now. He's left his people. He's made himself terrible for them because he's attacking them. Of course, he didn't know he wasn't. And David's in a difficult situation. He's in the wilderness. He's left the wilderness, actually. He's gone to the Philistines. He's gone to the enemy and trying to find refuge in them. And even then, we'll see the Lord loves him. The Lord protects him. The Lord will save him from that because the Lord has a plan and purpose for his life. But I think what we can learn is that many times we stop trusting the Lord when we're in the wilderness. We want him to save us now, and the Lord has his time, his place, and he wants to develop that trust in him, like David did. David trusted him once for Saul attacking him, and trusted him twice for Saul attacking him, but he kind of wavered that third time. He's like, I'm going to go to the Philistines. I'm going to be safe there. And instead of trusting the Lord, he is now being drawn into the net of the Philistines. We see a little bit of David's heart in Psalm 56. It says this: be merciful to me, O God, for a man would swallow me up. Fighting all day, he oppresses me. My enemy would hound me all day, for there are many who would fight against me, O Most High. When I am afraid, I will trust in you. And that's how he felt. There's all these people around me. When I am afraid, I will trust in you. In God, I will praise his word. In God, I have put my trust. I will not fear. What can flesh do to me? And that's what David needed to learn in this moment. He was trusting more in man, in the Philistines, in Gath, in the safety of being in a foreign land. But we hope that as he will continue in his journey, we'll see how God will once again show him to trust in him. It says, all the day they twist my words. Their thoughts are towards me for evil. They gather together, they hide, they mark my steps. When they lie, they wait for me. Shall they escape my iniquity and anger cast down the peoples, O God? You number my wanderings. You put tears into your bottle. Are they not in your book? I've been crying your tears I've been wandering around in the desert, in the wilderness. When I cry out to you, then my enemies will turn back. This I know because God is for me. In God, I will praise his word. In the Lord, I will praise his word. In God, I put my trust. I will not be afraid. What can man do to me? David was learning that, but he hadn't quite learned that. It says, vows made to you are binding upon me, O God. I will render praises to you, for you have delivered my soul from death. Have you not kept my feet from falling, that I may walk before God in the land of the living? David needs to remember that. The Lord has kept your feet from falling. He's kept you so far. You don't need to go to the Philistines. You don't need to hide away from them. The Lord will keep you. And we'll see next week as he ends his wilderness time. He ends his time of running. And the Lord brings a transition from Saul to David in this battle where Saul will lose his life. David will understand. But for now, we leave David today in the Philistines, hiding, looking for safety among men, rather among God. But even then, God has him in his hands. I hope today, as we've gone through this wilderness experience for David, that you and I who've gone through difficult times in this last year, I don't know what things you've gone through. I know the things I've gone through. Nothing compared to David, of course. But that we would learn to trust in the Lord and not in men or in things or in objects or in ourselves. That we would learn to trust in him. That we would know that we can trust in the Lord and that he will be our stronghold and that he will lead us through. We might not be in our timetable, but it will be in his timetable. May we trust in the Lord with all our hearts, and he will lead us in the path. He will become our stronghold. He will be the one who will deliver us from our enemies. And it's a beautiful thing to think about. The Lord being our stronghold, the Lord being the one who is our refuge, in our time of need. Don't forget that. Let's pray. Lord, we just thank you that you are our refuge, you are our stronghold. And Lord, when we feel like we're in the wilderness, when we're running for our lives, there's so much against us. Lord, may we seek you. May we trust in you. May we know that you are our security. As we end one difficult year and begin another, we know it's going to be a difficult beginning, at least. Hopefully, we hope that it will we get better as the year goes on. But still, as we're still in the wilderness, Lord, no matter what our situation may be, may we trust in you. May we see, Lord, that you are our stronghold. Things are not our stronghold. People are not our stronghold. You are our stronghold where we can find refuge, Lord. May we find refuge in you. And I pray that in the name of Jesus. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. And we'll see you next week as we continue with the next part of David's life.